Hello, and today we'll be playing Zomewhere Else. He carefully walks around the bus you both were hiding behind, slowly making his way out of the cover of the trees towards Fred, whose attention is too focused at the ground to notice your approach. Fred! Fred jumps, eyes dangerously wide as his head snaps upwards towards you. Though you expected his gaze to soften upon seeing you, his panic only seems to worsen. Chant, what the hell are you doing here? His eyes remain locked on yours, not even acknowledging Martha as a big mouth carries you closer, with Fred slowly getting to his feet as you near. Eventually, you're both standing face to face a few meters apart next to the breathing monster. That was you, wasn't it? You have powers too, don't you? He winces as you asked the question, almost like he was clinging onto some vain hope that somehow you wouldn't have put two and two together. Now, though, he merely looks away insane. Damn it. I told you to run. Why did you come back? Answer me, goddammit! I'm sick of you dancing around the issue. Fred flinches backwards when you yell at him, once again looking away. Ashamed, Martha seems to recede into himself, awkwardly glancing back and forth between you and the painful silence, clearly not really sure what to do. Shouldn't it be obvious by now? Fred, as Martha starts to close the short distance between you, a loud cracking knock sounds out from beside you on the ground. Look out! Without warning, the monster erupts from the earth, spinning its claws outstretched like a drill, and aiming directly at you and Martha. Fred swings his foot wide, curling it along the ground. In response, a root nudges from the earth next to Martha's feet, pulling them out from underneath him and flooring you both, right as the monster arcs overhead, drilling straight through a nearby tree and back into the ground. Fred maintains his spin, making a motion as if he was pulling something back as he turns to face you both again. A bare roots and vines surges up beneath you and Martha, and with a shove, sends you both flying over towards Fred. Pay attention, both of you. If it could break out of my grasp just like that. As Fred speaks, Martha shakes the slight daze away and stands back up. Then imagine how easily it could kill you. Martha turns to you, picking you up once again and getting you on his back. You big guy. Martha perks up and looks towards him, finding his attention focused on the ground as he slowly trails his hand through the dirt, though for a brief moment he glances up at Martha. Can you run while holding Chad? Martha nods firmly and confidently. Good. Then, when I say so, run towards the lake. Intense silence follows as Fred's attention returns to the ground, almost like he's scanning the area through the dirt. Now, dutifully, Martha instantly breaks into a sprint towards the lake. Only a few steps in, you can hear the distinct sound of something tearing through the ground behind you. As the drilling monster bursts out of the earth once again, Fred uses another kick to cut Martha's feet out from beneath him, sending you both sprawling on the ground. The monster sails overhead once again as you are dragged back towards Fred. The monster slams into the water with a mighty splash, somehow managing to stop it while spinning and landing on its feet a few meters from the shore, spinning around to launch another assault almost instantly. With a mighty uppercut, Fred summons numerous kelp leaves up from the bottom of the lake, which wrapped tightly around the monster's arms. A series of punches and kicks cause more and more kelp up, grabbing onto the monster all over its body. Then another high kick, followed by a punch, roots and vines emerge from the ground as well, lifting the monster straight up above the lake and holding it tightly in place. A heads up would have been nice. I don't must appreciate being baked without my knowledge, Fred. Fred stomps the ground, causing more violence to push Martha back to his feet with you still tightly wrapped in his arms. Fred lets out a soft, released sigh, the tension in his muscles settling somewhat. Sorry, there wasn't enough time. But hey, thanks for listening to me anyway, big guy. Fred holds his fist in front of Martha, who stares at it quizzically for a moment before looking back up to Fred with a curious tilt on his head. No? Okay then. After scratching awkwardly at his cheek, Fred lowers his arm back to his side with another side, this time more deflated. You consider explaining Martha's confusion to him, but you have something else much higher on your priority list right now. Alright, Fred, can you please explain to me what the hell is going on? Your question is punctuated by the monster screeching behind you, fighting desperately against its restraints, but these ones hold firm, for now at least. Wait, Chad, and can you please explain what are those things that are attacking us? Or what I'm even doing here to begin with? Can you... Chad! Fred shouts, cutting you off, grabbing your arm firmly and squeezing. The sudden act startles you back to your senses as if piercing through a foggy haze of anger that had been steadily clouding your thoughts. Fred, calm down. Look, I'm here for you, alright? Just relax for now. I won't let anything happen to you, okay? Fred looks directly into your eyes and gives you a warm, almost fleeting smile. A strange pressure pushes against the back of your head, burning through your mind like a vengeful fire. Finally gets the urge to bare your fangs and yell more, and shake your head, stifling that anger down to just a sharp glare directed at Fred. Fine. Do you at least think that thing's not going to attack us anymore? Seeing as we were already attacked by another one, and only managed to get it off our backs by sending it down slope. Something in my gut tells me that that's not going to keep it off our tails for long, and I'd really rather not have to deal with two at once. Fred goes to respond, a look of wide-eyed shock on his face, but he's cut off by the monster screeching once again. The shock quickly fades to irritation. Without looking, he flicks a finger in the monster's direction, causing more kelp to reach up and wrap tightly around his muscles, shutting it up. It's a hold long enough until Bruce can take care of it, but hearing that name, that burning rage reignites with such fervor that before you can even have a chance to process it, your mouth is open. Bruce? Are we seriously going to wait for that asshole to come try and kill us again? No. It was just a misunderstanding. What kind of fucking misunderstanding justifies him trying to kill us, Fred? This blind optimism was really starting to piss me off. Fred pauses for a moment, then lets out a long sigh. Just trust me, please. As long as I keep both you and the big guy here safe, we'll be fine. Everything will work out. But, anyways, I noticed your foot's all messed up. What exactly happened here? You pause, taken aback by this whiplash-inducing change of subject. The angry flame in your head roars, but before you can speak, a tight yet subtle squeeze from Martha somehow calms it. You blink a couple times, your brain taking a moment to hard reset and leaving you a bit befuddled. If it's something you don't want to talk about, then don't worry about it, buddy. Fred's voice pierces through the haze, snapping you back to reality. The other monster we fought did it to me. Fred raises a brow, clearly not satisfied with that incredibly vague answer. Just your foot, though? Well, You look down at your hand, hesitating as you flex your fingers. Martha gives you a gentle stare, nodding slowly and assuringly before pulsing in the air, a clear sign to you at this point. It was because I was hanging from a branch using this, and it grabbed onto my foot where I missed its lunge. You throw a punch into the air, and your polygonal hand emerges. Fred just looks at you with a blank expression. You definitely expected more of a reaction from him. Yeah, I was afraid of that. What do you mean? Is that seriously the only reaction I get from having a magic third hand? Fred shakes his head with yet another sigh, scratching at his cheek once more. Because it just confirms a hunch I had that I really was just a hunch. You've got to be more careful where you use that, Chad. We have a lot to talk about. Yep, we sure do, buddy. Martha listened to your conversation quietly and even somewhat peacefully, seeming quite content with himself as you both speak. Anyway, I suppose that covers how he got hurt, kind of, but you definitely left here alone. Where did you meet this big guy? What's your name, by the way? Martha blushes and looks back at you shyly, while Fred glances back towards the monster to make sure it's still held firmly in place. Martha, his name's Martha. Martha, huh? Martha. Well, nice to meet you, Martha. And thank you for keeping Chad here safe. Hopefully he didn't give you too much trouble. Fred hesitantly extends a hand for a handshake, though once again Martha looks puzzled by the action, causing Fred's ear to droop once again. Thankfully this time you're in a better position to explain. He wants to shake your hand, Martha. It's a sign of friendship and respect. Like this. You slip your magic hand to Fred's and give it a shake, which amuses him somewhat as he plays along with it, shaking back. After that, you dismiss the hand and turn your attention back to Martha. Alrighty, now you try. Martha carefully extends her arm, gently grabbing Fred's hand and shaking it. Fred finally perks up a bit, smiling and shaking back, but as his eyes drift down to Martha's wrist, he makes a weird face, though he quickly shakes it off. There we go, buddy. Good job. Martha blushes a bit, pulling his hand back and getting all side again, though it's clear he's happy to have met yet another new friend. The peaceful moment, however, is interrupted by the sound of the monster biting hard behind you. Returning your attention to it. We should probably do something about this thing before we get too sidetracked again. One is definitely not an option. They're definitely faster than us. Fred pulls his forehead, whacking his brain about the best course of action. After a bit, he nods, turning his attention back to the suspended monster by the lake. Alright. You follow Fred's eyes to the monster once again, seeing it still fighting hard against the bindings, then turn your attention back to him. If what you told me is true, if I'm right, then I think there are three. This one, the one you fought and set down the mountain, and the last one's probably. Fred turns his attention back towards the dense forest with Bruce, in that same direction he went. Fred's attention turns back to you and Martha, a definitely serious look in his eyes. With all that in mind, here's what we're going to do. Why does Fred open his mouth to explain his plan, and distinctive snapping sound echoes out from behind you, followed immediately by a deafening screech. Though this one was different. As you all cover your ears, the shriek echoes out into the forest, rattling nature itself as it pierces through the air. Look back towards the monster, seeing that it stopped breathing against its binds, but had somehow managed to free its muscle, the snapped vines falling into the water below. What? What is that? Another different shriek from the opposite direction of the one behind you answers the cry. Within the blink of an eye, a third smaller monster is standing next to the vines, suspending the second in the air. You didn't even hear it approach. Everything is deathly silent as this new monster flexes its claws, slashing away Fred's vines with ease. The motion was so fast you could barely even see it. The breath hitches in your throat as a fresh bone-chilling terror paralyzes you. You're clearly not the only one either, as Martha's body is shaking, There's no response from Fred at all. As the vines crumble away, the smaller monster turns ever so slightly and looks back at you, a purple glint simmering out of his eye. Every fiber of your being is screaming at you to run. But no matter how loud that voice screams, it won't change the fact that you know that you can't. What do we do? You mutter nervously under your breath, barely able to comprehend the two monstrosities in front of you. Fred, however, holds his stance as he looks over your opponents. Martha holds a similar stance to Fred, keeping an intense focus directed at the beast, shifting slightly to readjust his grasp on you. Chad, just breathe, okay? Do as I say, we'll be fine. We're all in this together, right, Martha? The large Mothman nods confidently, sizing up the opposition while doing so. How the two of them are acting so calm is beyond the scope of understanding, seeing as you can't stop your body from shaking. The two monsters in front of you seem like corruptions of once normal people. They all have protruding bones and tendrils all over their bodies. The tiger is the largest of the monsters you've seen, somehow able to spin like a power drill through the air. Your chances of surviving a direct assault from it are probably pretty low. Certainly doesn't inspire much confidence. The hyena is somehow more worrying, covered in rotting skin and glowing pustules, along with the bony protrusions. It bears razor-sharp claws, the middle one much longer than the others and leaking a vile greenish liquid. Every drop that hits the water beneath it sizzles and boils, emitting a horrid stench. Everything about it makes your stomach churn. The glowing green blisters its rotting skin is finally gross. You couldn't have imagined such a thing existing. But alas, here it is, and is looking right at you while heaving and gasping for air. Just stay calm and do exactly as I say, alright? I need you both to work with me. While the three of you continue to hold a defensive position, the two monsters begin to circle around your group in different directions looking for an opening. Certainly, the second you begin to speed, the corrupted hyena bolts towards you in a violent fervor. His response is nearly just as instantaneous, thrusting his hand up into the air and making thick ropes of kelp to shoot out of the lake towards the toxic beast. They wrap around the hyena's legs and were trapped into the water, slowly dragging the monster back towards the lake. The tiger roars before beginning to charge as well, and Fred's gaze shoots the beast as the shepherd's fist uppercuts the air between him and the tiger. You struggle to hold on as the earth shakes beneath you, the ground exploding underneath the tiger. And this column of roots erupts from the soil, carrying with it a hefty-looking rock from below the surface, which slams into the tiger's jaw like a monstrous fist, launching it into the air. It flies back towards the lake as well, hitting the earth hard and skidding a short distance to the water, narrowly missing the hyena. The column of roots sinks back into the soil instantly, the ground wobbling as Fred moves his hands once again. Before the beast could recoup from the landing in the lake, more kelp rises from the water and wraps around it. It's still able to move somewhat, but more kelp emerges to pin the tiger below the water. The hyena, meanwhile, has been slicing away at the seaweed, dragging it into the water. With one final slash, it is free from its binds. Your gaze nervously shifts to Fred, fighting him, sweating heavily, his breath ragged, still, though a determined spark remains in his eyes. Get ready, guys. Your eyes focus on the monster, who, in turn, has its sight solely on you. A rotten tongue falls out of his mouth, licking its bony lips. The hyena sprints almost twice as fast as before, leaving a trail of putrid green bough behind him. Fred grits his teeth before swiping and kicking the air, sending roots, vines, and thorns cascading towards the monster. Fred, tell us what to do. If you keep doing everything with yourself, you're just going to burn yourself out. Fred seemingly ignores you, punching the air faster and faster as the monster dodges every attack at breakneck speed, carving a path of desolation through the greenery surrounding it with each motion as the poisonous liquid splatters around. Damn it, you stubborn dog. If only it wasn't so damn fast, maybe I could. Your frantic mental scrambling to come up with a plan is cut short as Fred forces the thing to jump to avoid a thorny web aiming to trip it. As soon as its feet leave the ground, smirk crosses Fred's face. Gotcha. Fred crouches down, flinging his arms out to the side, his palms facing outwards, and turn the two massive leaves sprout from the ground where it looks like the monster is going to land, opening skyward like a massive Venus flytrap. Several long, thorny vines dance out from beneath the leaves, ready to turn the gargantuan foliage into an organic Iron Maiden the moment the monster lands. As it nears, Fred's smirk grows, and in mere moments before it touches down, he swings his arms back and crossing them both in front of himself, the leaves respond kind, clamping down on the hyena. At last it stood half. In the blink of an eye, the monster slammed one of its claws downward into the trap, balancing itself on that one claw for a brief moment. Then it spins with its other claw outstretched, mulching the trap effortlessly, and uses that momentum to fling itself towards you and Martha, massive claws poised to run you both through. Shit, look out! Time slows as you watch it get closer and closer. Instinct takes over for the both of you, and as Martha's body heaves backwards, you thrust a fist forward, and unconsciously fighting down the urge to scream in terror. However, before your fist can even manifest, a tree root springs from the ground and blocks the strike. The claw embeds itself deep into the hardwood, allowing for Martha to safely put some distance between you and the monster. Fred continues to swipe the air, causing more roots to grow around the monster's arm. By now, your heart is pounding in your ears, drowning out every other sound around you. Your claws are beginning to dig painfully into Martha's shoulders, but you barely even notice. What the hell? What the fuck is even going on? What are we supposed to do? Martha scares to stop, his grip on you tighter than ever, to the point where it's almost painful. You barely have any time to notice, though, before you both realize that the ground beneath your feet is shaking violently, coupled with the distinct sounds of cracking, bones and roaring. Though the action is unnecessary, your eyes snap back to the lake, and you can tell instantly that the tiger is gone, though the water where it was once standing is furiously shifting, as if draining into something. Move! Not needing to be told, Martha was already crouching down, and with a mighty shove upwards launches you both high into the air. The tiger erupts from the ground below less than a second later, spinning upwards with a gut-wrenching roar. Martha extends his wings as best as he can, with you on his back, slowing the descent with the tiger arcs beneath you, drilling back beneath the surface once again. When Martha's feet hit the ground, he takes just a moment to regain his balance before regrouping with Fred, whose eyes are now frantically scanning the ground. He looks even more exhausted than before now, gritting his teeth while holding his arm out, firmly keeping the hyena held in place, though if his arm shaking is any indication, he won't be able to keep it like that forever. Especially with how rapidly the hyena is fighting against the roots. Thankfully, though, it seems like it's finally been properly captured. He got it. He finally got it. Good job, Foot. In the act of animalistic desperation, the hyena bites into its arm and begins to rip into its own flesh, tearing open a disgusting blister. The hyena's wound begins to spurt out a toxic greenish purple pus under the roots. The plants begin to melt and turn to a black sludge. That is called counting your chickens before they hatch, Chad. Fred's eyes go wide as he lowers his arm, and as his roots are melted away, almost in the feet, he gulps harshly, but then brings a finger up to his temple, scratching awkwardly at the side of his head. Well, I've never seen something like that before. Fred shakes his head and takes a deep sigh as the monster frees himself of its restraints Despite the goofy grin on the German Shepherd's face, it's plain to see that this battle is really taking its toll on him. The sight fills you with even more pain. Nevertheless, Fred narrows his gaze at the monster and resumes his fighting stance. Let's dance, pretty boy. What's bravado? Enviable, you suppose, since you're struggling to contain your sake and your muscles hurt solely from the tension and you haven't even done anything. Before the monster could move a muscle, Fred unleashes a flurry of punches in the monster's direction. A cavalcade of splintered branches and roots tear through the soil. They're sloppier than usual, coming out jagged and fragile. The root shoots directly at the hyena's face, but its neck snaps jerkily to the side, followed by the rest of its body as it twists around it, continuing to race towards you while flailing its arms wildly, slashing through the roots with ease. Fred continues to punch and uppercut the air, each attack growing weaker and weaker than the but it does little to stop the demon, who continues to dodge, whip, and slice through every single attack effortlessly. You can't even understand how something made of rotting flesh and bone could move so fast. You have to do something. We have to do something. Damn it, Fred, let us help. It's fine. Dodging is all I need you to do right now. With a kick forward, it struck root sharpened to a point and rose directly in front of the hyena, giving it no time whatsoever to react. And yet it does. Just barely, it twists its body to the side, avoiding impalement. However, it does still manage to hit its side, tearing a gash through its rotting flesh. Completely unfazed though, it continues its rush, forcing you all to dodge as it swipes its claws wide, narrowly missing. Damn it, we have to fucking do something. You quickly scan the area, looking for anything that could turn the tides of this fight in your favor. As you do, though, something dawns on you, piercing through your panic-riddled mental fog. Wait, they've never gone after Fred, have they? They've only been attacking Martha and me. Fred, listen to me. They're aiming for Martha and I, so we can be bait while you find a way to kill them. Fred's ears perk up towards you as he staggers back to his feet, shaking his head. I can't kill them. Martha, look out. Below. The moment Fred finishes his command, Martha is already in the air, having sensed the earth rumbling beneath his feet. The abomination whips its way out of the ground and bursts into the air once more, going higher than before, but thankfully they're still not fully being able to reach you and Martha. Martha lands just as the tiger burrows deep into the dirt, drilling through thick roots and rocks as it charges up another assault. Once on the ground, you look at Fred, who is still slicing and punching the air, a cold sweat forming on your back as you continue to see the Shepherd exert himself. What do you mean you can't kill them? They're gonna rip us to shreds. I just can't, Chad. Why the hell not? If we don't do something, we're going to be the ones who die. Before Fred has a chance to respond, you find yourself once again launched into the air, with Martha seemingly having felt the tiger again. This jump is shorter though, this time more to the side than upwards. Sure enough, a second later, the tiger erupts once again from the earth. Fred's attention snaps to it almost instantly. He stomps his foot onto the ground before kicking high into the air. An array of massive roots shoot towards the drill-like monster, hardening under him at a steep angle. Another series of hand gestures follows. The roots seem to grow and thicken and curve upwards as the tiger crashes onto the wooden ramp before hitting the ground. The large beast's trajectory was now aimed towards the hyena rather than re-entering the earth. Spiraling uncontrollably, the behemoth rose towards his monstrous counterpart at breakneck speeds. A mere second before a fatal impact, the hyena manages a massive leap away from the other monstrosity, landing inelegantly in some nearby bushes. The tiger, meanwhile, begins to lose its cohesive drill shape, spinning out of control until it slams harshly into a thick tree still with enough force to destabilize and ultimately topple it, directly on top of the dazed monster, pinning it down. Fred seizes a moment without hesitation, raising his hand to the air and slashing the dirt in front of him with his foot. A swarm of razor-sharp vines shoot from the bushes and engulf the hyena's legs and hips. This time, no matter how fervently the monster slices, the vines sprout faster and faster with each wave. A frown that looks almost surprised spreads across Fred's face as he raises his hand into the air, the razor-like stems climbing further up the hyena's abdomen. As he finally fully wrapped the hyena up, carefully avoiding any more of the rancid blisters coating his body, finally seeming to hold it in place for good this time. Fred's stance crumbles. He falls to one knee, gasping for air as sweat pours down his face. Holy shit. He looked at the large tiger and the hyena, both of them seemingly out of the fight for now. Are you okay? Martha, take me over. You usher Martha to head towards Fred and he nods, trotting towards the shepherd. Yeah, I'll be fine. Just give me a second. Fred continues to breathe heavily before pressing his hand to his chest. He panicked for a split second, worried he's about to succumb to a heart attack. Thankfully, that doesn't seem to be the case. He seems to be merely taking a moment to center himself, taking slow, deep breaths, and eventually wiping the sweat from his forehead with his arm. Why wouldn't you let us help? You wouldn't be so tired if you actually let us do something. You chastise him as you approach, earning yourself a somewhat dismissive glare over the shepherd's shoulder. Sure, I appreciate the offer, but what could you have possibly done? I already said, you idiot, be bait. Fred lets out a sigh himself, getting back to his feet. Well, whatever. They're both down for the count, so let's get out of here before. A deafening roar whips through the air, punctuated by a heavy thud that shakes the ground. Our attention quickly shifts in the direction of the noise, only to see the tiger, having worked itself out from underneath the tree's trunk, is now slowly standing back up. God damn it. Fred resumes his fighting stance while Martha grips on you tighter. Once more, his own stance solidifying yet again. Why do you keep getting back up? Just stay down. Fred! The shepherd peers over his shoulder at you once again and then lets out a long sigh. Fine. As his attention turns back to the enemy, he spots the tiger sprinting towards the hyena, who is still writhing against its bounds. No, you don't, you bastard. Fred drags his hand through the air above him in an arc. The jagged remains of the collapsed tree's stump following his motion to snap the tiger mid-leap. But they miss, only managing to grab onto the tiger's ankle, which does nothing to slow it down from grabbing the vines holding the hyena up. When it takes a firm grasp on them, it begins to spin furiously, tearing them apart at the base, wrapping itself with them. As the hyena begins to fall, it squeezes onto the vines, following them down until it's about to land, at which point the tiger starts spinning, grabbing onto the hyena's arm. It pulls on his arm with excess spinning velocity, pulling it down the ground. Rapidly, the hyena comes down with a claw outstretched, tracing it along the vines that had coiled around the tiger's body, shredding them the rest of the way. We're getting absolutely nowhere with this. We need to get them away from each other. Yeah, just like I've always suggested, let us be bait. You get no response, but a flicker of Fred's ear makes you realize just how harshly that came out, and you bite your tongue. Damn it, Chan, calm down. I'm sure Fred's just as scared as I am. It's not fair to take it out on him. While you take time to settle yourself, the battlefield is strangely silent. Neither Fred nor the monsters seem to be moving much. They must need to rest too. That will probably be the best time to attack, but Fred's still shaking, his stance swacky, his focus expresses faltering as well, his features tighten now in frustration instead of concentration. He shakes his head with an irritated scoff. Using you as bait shouldn't be necessary. I'd rather just wrap you up with roots to keep you safe, but there's no way that's going to work with that friggin' hyena's poison. Even though it seems the battle is at a complete standstill, the monsters are still creeping even closer while Fred strategizes. Or at least tries to. Damn it, Chad. What can Martha do? I don't know. I mean, he definitely has powers, but I don't know what they do. Hell, I don't think he even knows. Fred peeked over his shoulder towards Martha as if to confirm, earning himself on a shameful headshake from the big mouth. His brow furrows further. Damn it. What about you? I can only really grab and hit stuff with my hand, but I can't stand it, so I have range. This is gonna be rough. Martha, even if you're not entirely sure what they do, I need you to do whatever you can to help, okay, buddy? Martha nods confidently. Fred nods in turn. His whole body rises and falls as he lets out a big, almost frustrated sigh. Alright, since I'm totally out of ideas, I'm going to allow you guys to separate them after all. Are you sure they're only after you two? Fred finally seems to actually be listening to you, and yet despite the relief that brings you, it also amplifies your dread. Yeah, I'm fairly certain they're just after us. Alright then, hopefully if you two split up, they will too. With an upwards flick of his fingers, Fred summons two tall, thick roots from the ground beside you, arcing them a meter or two above your head. Use that range to your advantage and monkey swing from these. Get as far away as you can, as fast as you can. And don't worry if the hyena cuts them away. I'll just make sure you stay ahead of it. As if on cue, both monsters begin to prowl once again, slowly stalking towards you, casting deep, guttural growls in your direction. Fred ignores them. Once you're out of the range, though, you'll just have to use the trees. Can you do that? Yes, it shouldn't be a problem. Good. As for you, Martha, just follow my lead. Martha nods firmly, his grip loosening on you somewhat to allow you to go, but now the monsters are getting visibly antsy. You should move quickly. Alright, go, Chad. You nod, thrusting your arm upwards and grabbing onto the branches with your magic hand. As soon as you make contact, the monsters break into a mad dance towards you. However, the moment they take their first step, the roots suddenly extend rapidly upwards, dragging you up through the leaves, dangling you above the forest. Whoa! While taking a moment to catch your breath and hopefully slow your frantically pounding heart, you look down and see that Martha and Fred hadn't moved. Your panic only worsens, but then you notice that the monsters have also stopped moving. They sniff the air furiously, seemingly confused by your sudden movement. The confusion only lasted for a few seconds though, as without warning the hyena leaps toward the root you're dangling from, slashing it with its claw. Damn it! The root begins to crumble away, leaving you with precious seconds to move. You get yourself swinging and just barely manage to fling yourself away as the root begins to fall. You throw another punch towards the next root, but your hand flies over it, grasping at empty air as you begin to fall. Oh shit! Thankfully the root responds quickly, tilting in your direction and getting close enough for you to slam into it and wrap your arms tightly around it. You let out a small sigh of relief and turn back to thank Fred, but you can't see him or Martha anymore, just a hyena glaring at you from beneath the dense tree canopies. You go harshly, frantically looking around for the next root, but there are none. Your heart sinks, but there aren't given any time to think of what to do as the root you're holding on to shakes. The hyena's now slashed this one, too. It's crumbling away already. Oh fuck. Before you know it, the leaves below you are getting very worse, very close, very fast. Shit. None of this would be happening if Fred would just nut up and kill these freaking things. The hyena has already gotten into position beneath you, no doubt ready to carve you to sizzling, rotten pieces the moment you land. By some miracle, though, you slam painfully into a thick branch before reaching the ground. You grunt and try to cling on, but the force of your landing was too much and the branch snaps under your weight. The hyena's eyes follow you as you ricochet from the branch to branch down the tree, spraying its claws as you near the ground. It leaps at you with a howling shriek, and in an adrenaline-fueled panic, you throw a punch in a random direction and pray. The moment you feel the sensation of literally anything against your palms, you clamp down with monstrous strength. Your velocity suddenly sails forward, and you find yourself now crashing through more branches. At some point, you're pretty sure you can feel the long claw pass between your legs, narrowly missing you. Unfortunately, the branch that was to be your salvation has its own limits, and it snaps too. You unceremoniously hurl through even more branches before finally meeting the ground, tumbling a short distance before coming to rest in a bush. Ow. Ow. As you try to shake off the dizziness, your blurry vision catches a glimpse of a brown blob slowly getting closer as the ringing in your ears dies down the unmistakable sounds of a growling, bloodthirsty beast fills the space it left behind. Fred, Martha, I need help. In the blind panic, you begin to scream, but the only answer you get are the distant sounds of combat echoing through the forest. Your focus finally returns to you, allowing you to process just how close a hyena has gotten. Its claws splay at its sides. Stay back. Unsurprisingly, the monster has no reaction whatsoever to your command. You try to stand up and run, but as soon as your right foot makes contact with the ground, agonizing pain shoots up your leg, nearly forcing you back down once again. Shit. Fred! Heart pounding in your ears. You do your best to limp away, putting weight on your foot as best you can to avoid the wound. It's difficult to see because it's so big. Each step is another painful ordeal, only worsening your fear. Fuck! A crunch behind you sends your panic into overdrive as you throw another punch towards the tree tops, grabbing onto another branch high above you. The monster reacts instantly, audibly leaping towards you, however, with every ounce of strength you can muster. You retract your hand, launching yourself towards it like a rocket. You do your best to put the hyena out of your mind, focusing on the direction you heard the sounds coming from earlier. Not worrying about swinging anymore, you resign yourself to merely flinging yourself between the branches, crashing into the ground each time. After only a few flings, you tumble back out into a familiar clearing with a grunt, spotting Martha and Fred ahead of you. Fred has seemingly captured the other monster with kelp once again, suspending it over the lake. Fred! They both notice you, turning to face you. Fred's attention quickly turns back to the tiger, while Martha breaks away from him to dash over to you. As he moves to pick you up, you back up. A massive blow slams into the mouth, tumbling back out into the clearing. As soon as they come to a stop, you see the hyena pinning Martha face down, its claws drawing back, poised to impale him. Martha! Shit! Fred's attention falls from the tiger as he turns to run towards Martha's rescue. But you are closer and react faster, instinctively throwing a punch towards the massive cyst-type thing on the hyena's back. It freezes in place, maw open wide and its gaze locked on the mouth below it. Time itself seems to have stopped as the magical hand begins to glow. In a panic, you try to pull your hand back, but it seems stuck to the hyena. You can't even dismiss it. More faint whispers crawl into your mind like a bug with 1,000 legs. The whispers are drowned out by a deafening screech, the monster howling in tremendous agony towards the sky. Pulling harder and harder to try and free yourself, only seems to make it worse. The monster began to flail wildly, slashing at nothing in a frenzy. Suddenly, a strange yet familiar pressure builds behind one of your eyes, an itchy sensation like something is stirring in your head. The pressure quickly becomes overbearing as you wince harshly, covering your eye with your free hand to try and stifle the pain. Uh, more. Feels like your magical hand has stopped listening to you entirely. The sensation of you grabbing on tighter, despite your attempts to pull back, overwhelming your own pain. The hyena slams its claws into the earth, body heaving as it bares its teeth down at Martha, who is frozen in fear. Staring back up at it as best he can, the monster is shaking but seems to have regained its composure, at least somewhat. It draws one of its hands back up out of the earth and moves to finally deal a massive blow, a finishing blow to Martha. Martha! In only a fraction of a second, the hyena's claw begins to descend. A flash of blue, however, appears above Martha, and a mere moment later the monster is all for him. That's all you are able to see before a bright flash of light forces your eyes shut. A loud crackling boom, a thud, a sharp, stinging pain fills your arm as your magical hand dismisses itself on its own. Then silence. Once you're finally able to open your eyes once more, your hazy vision lands on a billowing blue blur. It takes a moment for your eyes to adjust, but once they do, you're able to recognize that blur as Bruce. Traces of arcing blue energy crackle against his hand, but with a dismissive swipe, they vanish and his hand disappears beneath his cloak once more. As your eyes slowly trail around the battlefield, you take in things bit by bit. Martha has already set up and is staring up at Bruce with a twinkle in his eye. A moment later, his gaze shifts to you. Your eyes sail towards the lake, over the decimated clearing, the earth torn to shreds by Fred's roots and the tiger's hose, but little is left was rotted and dying from the hyena's poison. Fred is staring at Bruce and allow mouth a sock, but his stance has already begun to relax. Past him, the tiger remains suspended over the water, completely still. Noticing this, your eyes drift back in the opposite direction, finding the hyena equally immobile and a crumpled heap a few centimeters away from Bruce. You try to say anything, but nothing comes out. You're exhausted, confused, and pained. The adrenaline fading from your body only exacerbates all that is all you can do to even keep your head up. Severed. Bruce's voice calls out over the desolation. It is quiet but firm. Fred perks up at his call, almost looking a bit ashamed after a moment, but you can still pick up a slight twinge of admiration in his gaze. Fred nods, motioning with his hand, causing the kelp to begin to grow, carrying the tiger's lifeless body over towards Bruce and the hyena. While Fred does that, Bruce moves over to the hyena, crouching down next to it and lifting it up surprisingly gentle. He carries the beast, uses his scars to help him with care, almost reverence. He delicately lays the hyena down on one of the few small patches of undamaged ground on its back, which the kelp mirrors with the tiger's body. Bruce regards the bodies in silence, his expression surprisingly somber. An emotion you were fairly convinced he wasn't able to actually feel before now. With a soft sigh, he carefully reaches out to the hyena's eyes. Your battle is finally over. You can barely make out those words as Bruce whispers them, carefully closing the eyes of the inert monsters. Fred joins Bruce next to the bodies, an equally somber look spread across his face. Bruce glances at him, which is seemingly enough to get a message across to him. With a nod, Fred places his palm on the ground, which begins to faintly glow green. As he slowly retracts his hand back, a small plant sprouts beneath it, getting taller and taller, as the leaves sprouting all along its stem. Eventually, two flowers sprout at its top, and after a moment, they bear fruit. Large golden berries begin to grow all over the plant. He nods and gave a small sigh of relief, then plucks the whole thing delicately from the soil, handing it over to Bruce. You have no earthly idea what's going on, but you're too tired to care. At least it seems like the danger's past for now, at least. Admittedly, you feel a lot safer with Bruce here despite your history. With a nod, Bruce turns back to the bodies and takes a deep breath, doing the honor of bringing you some semblance of peace. Bruce's scars then start to scan each body. After several moments of this, some kind of wispy colored gas almost slowly floats up out of each body. The wisp condense down into small orbs that pulsate and glow like flame, floating above a scarf each. Bruce closes his eyes and lowers his head a bit, holding out the plant towards him, and carefully guides each herb over to it using his scars. His movements are slow and methodical, clearly showing a great amount of care for these orb things. As they get close, they begin to dissipate into the berries, swirling around before diving in through the stem and parting their glow gradually onto each one as they slowly fade away. Once they've fully dissipated, Bruce opens his eyes once more, staring down at the berries with deep reverence, cradling the dimly simmering plants in his arms. The monsters continue to lay motionless, while all eyes are on Bruce in awe. Bruce takes a deep breath, flipping his hood back up over his head before turning to you, casting a tired gaze at you from within a shadow across his face. Where's a third? His gaze is petrifying. You're not sure why, but you can't speak with him staring directly into your eye. You open your mouth to say something, but no words come out. Bruce's melancholic gaze tightens as he begins to raise his scores. Don't make me repeat myself, dog. I said. He is cut off by Martha, who hastily busts in between the two of you, putting a hand on your shoulder while looking back at Bruce, shaking his head firmly. Bruce's eyes go wide, his building fury faltering a bit, and his scars once again lowering. Satisfied that Bruce was standing down, Martha relaxes a bit, dropping his hand from your shoulder to point back in the direction you originally came from. Bruce follows Martha's fingers with his eyes, then closes them, shoulders rising and falling as he lets out a long sigh. Alright then. He looks back over his shoulder at Fred, who is idly looking around the remains of the clearing, scratching at his cheek as he finally takes in the severity of the battle for himself. Thanks. His voice startles Fred out of his trance, and he awkwardly rubs the back of his head and he looks at Bruce with a forced smile. No problem, man. Fred is interrupted by a dangerous scowl on Bruce's face, sitting up and swinging to himself. Martha, in turn, begins helping you up to your feet. It crouches down to give your piggyback wire again. Don't worry, Martha, I got it. Martha blinks in Fred's direction, but then nods happily, stepping aside as Fred approaches you, putting your arm over his shoulder. Thanks, Martha. Martha nods, giving your shoulder a gentle pat. Martha. Yeah, that's his name. The moth. Martha shyly looks away, poking two fingers together with a blush across his face, nodding in agreement. Bruce's gaze softens and he huffs, almost in amusement. Very well then. Martha. He says the name slowly, as if allowing his mouth to become accustomed to the sound. After a moment, seemingly satisfied, and he nods. You've done well today. I appreciate all your effort, but I believe it's time for you to head home. Martha shakes his head and steps closer to you, almost protectively. Not to worry. I'm sure they'll be fine. Martha's antenna droop, and he looks over at you with a hesitant look in his eye. Martha is worried about you. Don't worry, Martha. We'll be fine. I'll take care of this idiot. He playfully slaps your stomach, and surprisingly sends a rush of pain through your body. When you flinch and grunt response, Fred flinches in turn, and nervous sweat forming across his brow. And Bruce is gonna make sure nothing happens to both of us. Bruce grunts under his breath, and Martha tilts his head, glancing back at you with a look of confusion. It takes you a moment. Your very thoughts are exhausted from the day's events, but eventually you realize why he's confused. Oh, Bruce is his name. You point at Bruce. Don't you point at me, dog. You glare at him for a moment before relenting with a sigh, lowering your arm. Guess he's still not too much of a fan of me. Actually, Martha, can you hold onto these? Bruce reaches back into his cloak, once again procures the berry plant, holding it out towards the moth, who nods carefully, taking it in his lower hands. Good. You know where to go. Go wait for me there. I shouldn't be too long. I need to take care of things here first. Martha nods and turns back towards you and Fred, extending his upper hands out to the both of you, staring at you both eagerly. A small grin inevitably spreads across your face, mirrored by Fred, who laughs quietly under his breath. You both reach out and shake one of Martha's hands. It's nice meeting you, Martha. Thank you for taking care of Chan. Thank you, Martha. I wouldn't be alive right now if it wasn't for you. Martha nods slightly, a proud, hopeful look in his eyes as in a radiant blush across his face. Hey, when can I see you again? Never. Martha flinches, pulling his hands back and glaring at Bruce huffily, crossing his arms. We'll try and come back tomorrow, Martha. Don't worry. Bruce makes no attempt to hide a sigh of contempt which Martha either doesn't hear or chooses to ignore as his mood perks back up at Fred's words. Alright, off you go, Moth. Martha nods and, after giving one final wave, turns and walks towards the lake before following the sword, eventually disappearing behind the tree line. Is it really this way, or was the moth just lying to protect you, fools? You look at Bruce for a moment, once again tensing up. However, a squeeze from Fred relaxes you enough to instantly answer. No, he wasn't lying. As far as I know, it's still in that direction, but it could have moved by now. Show me. You blink in surprise, looking to Fred almost as if seeking confirmation that you heard what you think you heard. Fred simply nods, looking back at you. Alright. With a deep breath and a large amount of Fred's help for balance, you hobble off back into the direction you and Martha had fled from, with Bruce following you closely behind. Before you get too far away, you take one final look back over your shoulder in the clearing. The two corpses are still there, and for some reason, seeing them again fills your chest with an indescribable sensation. You shake your head and turn your head back forward. As you walk at a snail's pace, in complete silence, it quickly becomes apparent how late in the day it become. The sun is already beginning to set, and you're starting to worry you won't even be able to make it back down the mountain with how exhausted you are. A voice behind you snaps you out of your worries, though. Tell me what happened to your foot, Doberman. Huh? He didn't call me dog. Progress, I guess. Still have her name. I suppose you can't expect too much from a man who tried to kill you a few hours ago. Well, earlier when Martha and I were fighting the other monster, I used myself as bait to fling it off a cliff, but managed to grab onto my foot. And, well, you see how that turned out. Separate, can you? Yes, of course. And then what? Well, something caught its attention down the slope, and it let go to chase after it, tumble down the hill. Then you punctuate your answer with a shrug. And you think it's still down there. I mean, considering how determined the other two were, I can't imagine it would have been able to climb back up by now. Otherwise, it probably would have attacked us too. Bruce sits out alongside, shaking his head. Foolish dog. What with information I didn't even know monsters existed 10 hours ago. How are you going to expect me to know everything there is to know about them already? I'm not exactly a monster expert like you guys. For now. What's that supposed to mean? Bruce has a lot to explain to you, Chad. Bruce growls from behind, but doesn't contest what Fred says. The rest of the walk is once again silent, at least until the edge of the cliff you were searching for comes into view and you nod towards it. There, the monster tumbled down that slope. Shouldn't be too hard to track it, just follow the trail of destruction. Bruce pauses for a moment, then walks ahead of you, peering down over the edge. After a moment analyzing what he sees, he nods, turning back towards you and Fred. Separate, I'm going to need another one. Sure. Fred crosses with you and places his hand on the ground once more. A similar process to before, another small berry plant sprouts, this one producing less berries than the first. Fred plucks it, getting back on his feet, and hands it over to Bruce. This should do it. Thank you. He nods towards you both, almost like a small bow, but it's such a short-lived gesture you barely even recognize it. Now leave. Then he forcefully flicks his head back the way you came. Without giving either of you a chance to respond, he turns back around and walks back over to the cliff, hopping off the edge and presumably sliding down. For the briefest of moments, you think you can catch a glimpse of something weird on Bruce's back, but he's gone so fast and you're so tired you can't really make any sense of it. This way, Fred takes a moment to readjust his hold on you, then begins leading you in a direction that hopefully actually leads back to town. Being thanked and then told so rudely to leave is certainly a new one. What the fuck is his problem? I think it's his way of saying thanks to you for taking care of Martha. Would it kill him to just say that? Fred laughs, shaking his head in amusement. Honestly, yeah, probably. Ugh, what a charming guy. After walking for a bit, the silence of the forest is shattered by a loud crash and an echoing screech. Then just as suddenly as it started, it stops once again, leaving silence in its wake. You both stop for a moment, and as you gulp down another weird sensation burning in your throat, Fred closes his eyes for just a brief moment. Then you both continue without another word. You both walk for a long while in complete silence, watching as the forest gets darker and darker around you. You're very rapidly running out of energy, too. You eventually are forced to ask Fred to stop to give you a second to catch your breath. Yeah, sure thing, bud. Here. He carries you over to a tree and sets you down against it, leaving you panting as you look up at him. Sorry. Nah, it's cool. You've been through a lot and don't exactly have stamina regenerating magic, so... You know, I thought my hand was pretty cool. But seeing you do anything in any capacity makes me feel woefully inadequate. No worries. It's taken me years to get to this point. A lot of really, really rough years. Your ears droop as you suddenly feel a pang of guilt. There's a moment of silence before Fred clears his throat. Anyway, we're never going to make it back to Mirror Marble like this. So, with a couple flicks of his fingers, Fred summons up a few short roots, a meter or so in front of you. Then he moves up to the tree you're leaning up against, traces his pointer finger over the surface and around the trunk in some sort of pattern. Once he's finished, he sinks his fingers underneath and begins to pull. Effortlessly, he's able to peel a big chunk of bark from the surface of the tree, filling the air with a distinctive sappy scent. You watch in awe as he swipes a palm over the peeled portion, causing the bark to grow right back as if nothing happened. Alrighty, come on, bud. Let's get out of here in style. With a confident smirk, he lays the bark down on the roots he had summoned up earlier, then returns to you. As he reaches down to pick you back up, you're once again blindsided by just how little you know about the situation and realize now that Fred has absolutely no excuse to not explain things. But wait. No more excuses, Fred. I'm sick of being left in the dark. I need an explanation now. I won't take no for an answer. You unconsciously clamber back to your feet to try and make a point, but as soon as your wounded foot touches the ground again, you flinch and fall back against the tree. God damn it. Fred crouches down by your feet, holding a hand out. Let me see. You instead pull your foot away from him. No, stop trying to change the subject, damn it. Chad. You flinch as he shouts your name. Well, okay. I'm going to. There's no reason for you to continue to be in pain just to prove a point, though. Let me help. You said it was a burn, right? Yeah. The monster's claw burned it really bad. Alright, then let's start with something easy, okay? You've seen what I can do so far, right? Pretty hard not to have, seeing as how you did it so much. Okay, good. Then, to, I suppose, grossly oversimplify, I'm kind of like a druid from an RPG. I can control, manipulate, and grow plants. Within limits, of course. Like, I may seem super OP here in the forest, but we'd be boned as factory. I can do anything that you can think of with this, but I can't do everything. Wait, what do you mean you can do anything but can't do everything? Think of it like this. My base power is to manipulate plants, and if I use it creatively, I can do a lot of stuff you wouldn't really think of just based on that initial starting point, but even the simplest new trick takes years and years of training. This explanation is shit. I know, okay? I'm stupid as fuck when it comes to explaining stuff like this. That's why I usually leave it up to Bruce. What do you mean, usually? If I continue explaining, like shit. Yes, like shit. If I continue to explain it like this, you'll learn these things poorly, and that could be detrimental to your learning process overall. Which is basically why we came here in the first place. Bruce is way better at it than I am. I just didn't know the situation was going to get twisted so fast. And I definitely wasn't expecting there to be monsters. The casual way you say that implies you fought against them before. It scares me. Well, yeah, I have. What the hell have I gotten myself into all of a sudden? But definitely not as strong as these ones. Usually they're way more tame and manageable. Hell, sometimes they're even harmless. But these ones today. But Fred puts his finger on your lips. And I can't explain things I'm not so sure about myself before you ask. That makes sense. I certainly feel like this is all surface level stuff, since I definitely feel like I'm missing a lot. It is, yes. There's a lot of things we need to talk about, but if you're worried about the monsters, don't. I know after the day the notion sounds stupid, but seriously, don't worry your pretty little head over it. How exactly do you expect me to just not worry after everything I saw today? You can only see your life flashing before your eyes so many times before it starts to get real old. And I mean dangerous or no. If there are more monsters like that, what will happen if they got into? Bruce takes care of them, always. They've never made it out of this forest. Then why in the hell do you bring me here? Knowing there was potential danger, couldn't you have just called Bruce out, sent a text, brought a goddamn letter? Why are you trying to get me killed or Fred, noticing you're about to dip into another one of your moments, interrupts you by flicking your nose. Oh, don't be silly. I have my reasons for everything I do, and you know it. You know me. Fred. His ears perk up in surprise as he tersely calls his name. 10 years of my life is missing. And those 10 years, it's become painfully apparent that a lot has changed. You have changed. You can't possibly say I know you when just a few hours ago I thought I was the only one on the planet with any sort of magic powers. When you would say monster to me, I think of a video game. And yet here we are. You're a druid. I was almost killed in so many fun and exciting ways I can't even count them on both my hands in this. You hold your foot out, shaking it to prove a point. It's proof enough that no matter how many times I try to wake up, I never will because this isn't some twisted ass nightmare. It's real. So no, I don't think I know you, Fred. I don't think I know much of anything. You look angry at Fred. His face is stunned for a moment, but soon his ears droop as he looks away and sings. Well, you'll get to know me real soon, whether I like it or not. A tense moment of awkward silence follows, only broken when Fred finally crosses back down in front of you. Anyways, let me get this checked. Fred inspects the burnt marks on your foot. It's not looking great, Chad. Should we go to the hospital? I feel like this is going to be hard to explain. And so we got to see Fred battle the monsters. While he certainly did need Chad's help, he managed to hold his own against all those monsters. And despite what he may want to say, he does seem very knowledgeable about his powers. And he calls himself a druid. That's what he's called. I think a druid is somebody who has magical powers, or maybe a druid is somebody with magical powers who can manipulate plants and stuff like that, because that's for his power. I don't know what a druid is, I forgot, but I guess that means he's somebody with powers, or maybe a druid is someone with powers, someone whose powers relate to manipulating plants and trees and vegetation. So, once Bruce came and defeated the monsters, he gave them a proper burial, and we got to see the soft side of Bruce, the compassionate side of him. But it didn't last long because he was bad to his hostile self, calling Chad a dog and telling him to get away from him, dog. Still doesn't like Chad for some reason. However, he did decide to call him I forgot what he called Chad. I mean, he started calling him dog instead of call him Doberman. So maybe that's a little bit of improvement. Maybe that's sort of his way of saying thanks to Chad for watching over Martha. So Bruce got to be introduced to Martha, and I think he might decide to take Martha in with him, I guess. I have no idea, but it seems like it. So at the end, Fred's foot or leg, I think, one of them either, was hurt, and we'll see what Chad decides. We'll see what Fred decides to do about that next time. So thank you all very much for watching. Goodbye.